There's something strange about the person who wants everyone to like them. They're everywhere and nowhere at once. They remember your coffee order, they laugh at jokes that aren't funny, they text back immediately, always. And yet, if you were asked to describe who they really are, you might find yourself grasping at shadows. Here's the paradox: the person who tries hardest to be liked often becomes the hardest person to truly know. So what's really happening in the mind of someone who needs universal approval? And what does this constant performance cost them? Let me paint you a picture. You're at dinner with friends. The conversation turns to politics, or religion, or something. And there's that one person, you know, the one, who suddenly becomes very interested in their food. They nod carefully. They smile ambiguously. When pressed for an opinion, they say something like, "I can see both sides," or, "That's really interesting." They've just performed a disappearing act without leaving the table. But here's the thing, this isn't about being diplomatic. This is about something much deeper. The person who wants everyone to like them isn't actually being neutral, they're being invisible. And there's a profound difference. Neutrality is a position. Invisibility is a defense. The psychology behind this runs deeper than simple insecurity. Research in attachment theory shows us that the seeds of people-pleasing behavior are often planted in childhood. When a child learns that love is conditional, that affection arrives only when they behave correctly, when they don't make waves, when they suppress their needs, something fundamental shifts in how they relate to the world. Psychologist John Bowlby called this anxious attachment. But I think there's a more human way to understand it. It's the bone-deep belief that your authentic self isn't enough. That the real you, with all your rough edges, contradictions, and inconvenient truths, would drive people away. So you learn to smooth yourself out. You become a mirror. You reflect back what people want to see, and you do it so well that eventually, you forget what your own reflection looks like. And this is where it gets complex. Because on the surface, people-pleasing looks like kindness. It looks like empathy. The person who wants everyone to like them is often genuinely sensitive to others' needs. They pick up on emotional cues that others miss. They remember details. They make people feel heard. But here's what's really happening beneath the surface: this isn't empathy, it's surveillance. They're not reading your emotions to understand you better, they're reading them to know how to adjust themselves. Every smile, every frown, every slight shift in your body language is data. Information. A signal telling them whether they're performing correctly. Think about the last time you were with someone who wanted you to like them. Really wanted it. How did it feel? At first, probably flattering. They're so attentive. So accommodating. They laugh at your jokes. They're interested in everything you say. But then, something starts to feel off. You can't quite put your finger on it. Maybe you realize they never disagree with you. Maybe you notice they change their There's a concept in psychology called persona, borrowed from Carl Jung. It's the social mask we wear, the version of ourselves we present to the world. Everyone has one, it's normal, even healthy. But for the person who needs universal approval, the persona isn't a mask they can take off. It's become their face. And the tragedy is this: the very strategy they use to make people like them is the same strategy that prevents people from truly loving them. Here's the truth about wanting everyone to like you: it's an impossible equation. Because everyone includes people with contradictory values, opposing beliefs, conflicting needs. To please everyone is to stand for nothing. To agree with everyone is to have no self. The person who tries to be universally liked ends up being universally pleasant, agreeable, nice, but not known, not seen, not held in the way that humans need to be held, as whole, complicated beings worthy of love, not despite their flaws but including them. But here's what's fascinating: the people pleaser knows this. On some level, they know the whole thing is a performance. And this creates a secondary anxiety, a meta-fear, the terror that they'll be discovered. That someone will see through the act and realize there's a calculation happening behind every smile. Psychologists call this imposter syndrome, but that doesn't quite capture the existential weight of it. It's more like living with the constant suspicion that if people knew the real you, the tired you, the selfish you, the you that sometimes doesn't want to help, they'd leave. They'd finally see that you were never worth liking in the first place. So you work harder. You become more accommodating. You shrink yourself smaller and smaller, trying to fit into the shape of what you think people want. And the smaller you become, the more invisible you feel. Let's talk about what this looks like in practice. In daily life, In the 1,000 tiny moments that make up a personality. You're asked where you want to eat. I don't mind, you say. Whatever you prefer. You're given a compliment. You deflect it immediately. Oh, this old thing? Or, I was just lucky. Someone hurts you. You smile and say, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Your boundary is crossed. You laugh it off. You make excuses for them. Anything to avoid the conflict that might make them like you less. Here's what's really happening in these moments. You're teaching people that your needs don't matter. You're training them to overlook you. And the cruelest part? You're doing it because you think it will make them stay. But the truth is, and this is hard to hear, respect and affection don't grow in the soil of self-erasure. They grow in the soil of authenticity. Of boundaries. Of the quiet confidence that says, this is who I am, and that's enough. And this is where it gets interesting from a neuroscience perspective. Studies using fMRI scans have shown that chronic people-pleasing actually changes how your brain processes social information. The regions associated with self-awareness, the medial prefrontal cortex, show decreased activity. Meanwhile, areas associated with other focused attention light up like a Christmas tree. Translation. Your brain becomes so attuned to what others think and feel that you lose the neural real estate for knowing what you think and feel. Dr. Kristin Neff, a researcher on self-compassion, describes this as other compassion at the expense of self-compassion. You become so skilled at understanding and accommodating others' emotions that you develop a kind of blindness to your own. Your feelings become background noise. Inconvenient static. Because a person who doesn't know their own mind becomes increasingly susceptible to manipulation. To boundary violations. To relationships that take and take without giving back. The people-pleaser often ends up surrounded by people who need them but don't truly see them. Who use their agreeability, their flexibility, their endless capacity for accommodation. And the people-pleaser? They call this love. They call this being valued. Because any attention feels better than the alternative, being alone with a self they're not sure exists. Let me tell you what I think is at the heart of all this. What I think the person who wants everyone to like them is really seeking. It's not actually universal approval. That's just the surface story. What they're really seeking is permission to exist. Evidence that they matter. Proof that their presence in the world isn't a burden but a gift. They're re-asking a question over and over. Am I okay? Am I acceptable? Am I worth the space I take up? And they're asking it to everyone they meet because they can't answer it for themselves. Psychologically, this traces back to what's called external locus of validation. Your sense of worth doesn't come from within, it comes from the outside, from other people's reactions, approvals, acceptance. You've outsourced your self-esteem. And that means you're always at the mercy of other people's moods, opinions, passing judgments. It's exhausting. It's like trying to stand on ground that's constantly shifting beneath your feet. So what happens over time? What's the long-term cost of this constant performance? First, there's the loneliness. The deep, aching loneliness of being surrounded by people who like you but don't know you. Of having 100 shallow connections and no anchor. Of being universally liked and profoundly unseen. Then there's the resentment. Because here's what nobody talks about, people-pleasing breeds rage. Quiet, often unconscious rage at the people you're constantly accommodating. At yourself for not being able to say no. At the world for not recognizing your sacrifice. This resentment seeps out sideways. In passive aggression. In martyrdom. In those moments where you say, I'm fine, but your body language screams otherwise. You can't express anger directly. That might make someone dislike you. So it gets expressed indirectly, obliquely, in ways that confuse both you and everyone around you. And then there's the identity crisis. Because eventually, you have to ask yourself, who am I when I'm not performing? Who would I be if I wasn't trying to be likable? These are terrifying questions for the people-pleaser. Because the answer might be, I don't know. I've spent so long being what others needed that I never discovered what I actually wanted. But here's what I want you to understand. What I need you to hear, if this is you, if you recognize yourself in these words, you're not broken. You're not weak. You're not pathetic. You're someone who learned to survive by accommodating. And that took intelligence, creativity, emotional sensitivity. You developed a complex skill set for reading people, for adapting, for making others comfortable. These are real abilities. The problem isn't that you have them, it's that you've been using them at your own expense. The work ahead isn't about becoming callous or selfish. It's about learning that you can be kind without being invisible. That you can care about others' feelings without erasing your own. That boundaries aren't walls, they're the architecture of sustainable relationships. Here's what healing looks like, in practical terms. It's small at first. Almost imperceptibly small. It's ordering what you actually want for dinner instead of defaulting to what's easiest. It's saying, "That hurt my feelings," instead of, "It's fine." It's letting a compliment land instead of deflecting it. It's allowing yourself to have an opinion, even when, especially when, someone might disagree. It's understanding that conflict isn't catastrophe, that someone being disappointed in you isn't the end of the world, that you can survive someone's disapproval and wake up the next morning still worthy of love. These small acts of self-assertion feel huge at first. Terrifying. Like jumping off a cliff. Your nervous system will scream at you. Every instinct will tell you to retreat, to apologize, to smooth things over. But here's what happens when you don't. You discover that the world doesn't end. That people don't automatically leave. That some people, the right people, actually respect you more for having boundaries. For being real. For being complicated. And maybe, just maybe, you start to answer that question you've been asking everyone else. The question about whether you're okay, whether you're acceptable, whether you're worth the space you take up. But this time, you answer it for yourself. Not with arrogance or bravado. Just with quiet self-knowledge. With the growing understanding that you don't need to be universally liked to be fundamentally valuable. That being known by a few people is infinitely more nourishing than being liked by many. That your authentic self, flawed, opinionated, sometimes difficult, is more interesting, more lovable, more real than any performed version could ever be. The person who wants everyone to like them is trying to solve an impossible problem. They're trying to earn something that can't be earned, only received, only given freely. Only exchanged between two people brave enough to be honest. And maybe that's the real liberation, understanding that you don't need everyone. You just need yourself. And a handful of people who love you not for your agreeability, but for your truth. So here's what I want to leave you with. If you're someone who's spent your whole life trying to be liked, know this: the exhaustion you feel is real. The loneliness is valid. The resentment makes sense. You're not failing at people-pleasing, you're succeeding at it so well that it's costing you yourself. And you deserve better than that. You deserve to be known, to take up space, to have needs and express them, to disappoint people sometimes and still be worthy of love. The journey from people-pleasing to self-knowing isn't about becoming harsh or uncaring. It's about expanding your circle of compassion to finally include yourself. It's about learning that you were always enough, not because you made yourself small enough to fit, but because you were brave enough to unfold. You don't need everyone to like you. You just need you to like you. And maybe, just maybe, that was the answer all along. If this video resonated with you, if you saw yourself in these patterns, I want you to know you're not alone. Thousands of people are on this same journey, learning to choose authenticity over approval. And here's how you can be part of that community. Leave a comment below and tell me, what's one small way you've started honoring your own needs instead of just pleasing others? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Sometimes knowing we're not alone is the first step toward change. If this video helped you understand yourself or someone you love a little better, hit that like button. It tells me these deeper psychological explorations matter to you, and it helps others who are struggling find their way here. And if you want more content like this, videos that go beneath the surface to explore why we do what we do, subscribe and turn on notifications. We're building something different here. I also want to hear from you. What psychological pattern should I explore next? What behavior or mindset are you curious about? Drop your suggestions below. This channel is shaped by what you need to understand. Finally, if you know someone who's trapped in the exhausting cycle of people-pleasing, share this video with them as a gift. As a way of saying, I see you. Your struggle is real. And there's a path forward. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the hard work of becoming yourself. I'll see you in the next one.